What's up, guys? This is Hatsmania coming to you with an explanation on this deck. Okay, so basically why I'm doing this, I just want to explain that first. If I get enough requests or I feel like that I didn't explain the deck quite well enough, I will post another video just explaining kind of like the tips and tricks that go with the deck. This deck is, of course, the Volcanic U.A deck that I posted about a week and a half ago, and essentially, the reason why I feel like this needs some explanation is because it's just so out there. And I did get a request to have an explanation for this as well. But anyway, let's get into it. So yeah, if you want to check out the deck profile, I'll put a link to that in the description. But anyway, the main card of the deck is going to be Ace. Ace is going to really help you get all your plays off. It's really going to help you deck thin. It's the biggest engine of the deck, and it just makes it so, one, you can get Shell into the grave, but also you can get cards like Reload or Penalty Box into the grave as soon as possible. Ace is just the perfect card for this, mainly because you can special summon it with Signing Deal, or you can just special summon them through Midfielder, or if you really feel the need, you can sacrifice a monster that you're not really caring to lose, such as Firestorm Guards when his effect just doesn't go off anymore, etc., etc. But yeah, Ace is probably one of the most important cards of the deck, and it's really what makes the deck work. The whole deck really runs on Ace. If Ace was in here, this deck would like hit a big wall. It would still be able to function. I mean, it's still Volcanics, and you would still have the +1s from Planner. You'd still be able to search for Midfielder and still be able to deck thin pretty easily. It would just be a lot harder. The another big, and so moving on, like a tip with Ace is that you ditch a shell, and then you activate Shell's ability to add another shell to your hand the next turn, because you can activate this card during your opponent's turn only. And then you can search another shell out, and then either have the shell for the next turn, or ditch it to get a draw off of Tri-Blaze Accelerator. Not Tri-Blaze Accelerator, Blaze Accelerator Reload. So that's why that's there. Midfielder is just there to make Ace easier to get out, and also makes it it's easier on your life points to get out with Deal, so that's why he's here. He's also searchable in the deck, so that's great. This deck actually deck thins like crazy. It's really stupid how easily it deck thins. Also in the deck profile, I stated that the Firestorm Guard is probably the least consistent part of the deck, and what I mean by that is that it's not searchable. Firestorm Guards is the only card in the deck that can't be really searched out or does any searching. What it does is that it basically, well, if you don't know what Firestorm Guards is, the effect is right here. But what it basically does, it's a watered down pot of avarice for Pyrotate monsters, and it's that, like, you have to normal summon it in order to do it, and that's why it's inconsistent, because so many decks, when they see the Volcanic engine here, the Volcanic archetype, they're automatically going to assume that you're going to be playing a Royal Firestorm Guards, and that it just helps the deck get back and to reload. But yeah, Royal Firestorm Guards, as soon as they think that you're going to summon it, they're going to try to get rid of it as fast as possible, because then you're able to get charge back up with scatter shots and get the play off again. Another great thing with Ace, that again, you can get these guys out, and it becomes into like a free search. So you can turn Reload in and destroy everything, deal 1500 to your opponent with scatter shot, or you could ditch Penalty Box and get a search for Signing Deal. I do run 3 Planner in the deck profile. I did have 3 Rhoda and 2 Planner. Since then, I switched it up. The 3 Planner just made it so much more consistent. It was just it just made it better, because you have 6 targets for this card, and sometimes you can't always ditch Penalty Box, and you need it to get into the grave as soon as possible. So activating it and then activating Planner, yeah, it's just super easy to get +2, +1 off of that. So yeah, Magical Hats is just there for consistency and some sort of defense. I can't tell you how many times when I activate this card and my opponent attacks into the 2 trap cards that I set, which is typically one of these 2. Um, and then I put in the Phoenix Wind Blast because I was debating on whether or not to put in effect, not effect, either, oh no, effect Veiler, breakthrough skill, or um, Divine Wrath. And Divine Wrath was probably the one I was most likely going to put in. Effect Veiler, I probably would not have put in because it just wasn't good with the deck. It just didn't have enough. Like, yeah, like Effect Veiler is gonna be like great with any deck, but just honestly, like it sort of has a dilemma with Perfect Ace, where like, do you just ditch the Effect Veiler, or do you ditch another card? And quite honestly, I would just rather ditch this card than ditch a Veiler if I absolutely have to. But yeah, anyway, Divine Wrath basically has the same effect as Ace, except it has to be an effect monster's effect, whereas Ace can do anything. And Phoenix Wind Blast, well, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem sometimes, such as when you're going up against a Klee deck, because they can just special summon the next turn. It helps slow them down, and quite honestly, you're gonna need it. And this, yeah, like sometimes you're not even gonna have an effect to negate with a monster. So I would much rather have this card because it can target anything. And then breakthrough skill is also good because you can ditch it, and it can prevent an effect on your turn for a monster. So that's also a good like side deck card if you feel like you need it over this. Or maybe MST or something, like if you're playing against Necros with this deck. So yeah, MST can definitely be sided out for breakthrough skill. I would totally do that if I was going up against a Necros, just to prevent myself from getting trished. Trishula, Necros of Trishula is probably the worst card you want to see when you're when you're playing this deck, mainly because you don't want your scatter shots banished. There's no way to get them back after that for this deck. So yeah, that would be quite bad. And then finally, the last card, I would I would side, even though like it's kind of a it's kind of it's like just a specific deck, and like more than likely I would play this against the mirror match Galaxy Cyclone, just to get rid of cards like lose a turn and stuff like that, or even Cleese. I would play this against Cleese as well. But yeah, Galaxy Cyclone is definitely a side card. I would not play more than one of this in the side at all. But yeah. Anyway, moving back to this. Signing deals merely here for penalty box. By the time you're set up, this will just become a card to ditch for Perfect Ace, and that's not always bad. Sometimes you just need a card to ditch, and penalty box just help you do that. Plus, it deck thins, so that's not always bad. Tumble the Kings, yeah, it just helps speed up the deck. It's so overpowered in this deck. It's just one, it can immediately get you a draw or just a destruction, or a destruction, or penalty box to activate and then use planner with. Penalty box, I've never used the defensive ability with penalty box more so in this deck than any UA deck build I have ever used. It's so much useful in this deck. So much more useful, mainly because you're always going to put Ace in defense unless your opponent has no back row and no monsters on the field. And even then, I don't do it sometimes because I'm like, you know what, I better just put him in defense in case he gets a field next turn. So yeah, penalty box. Yeah, this card becomes so much more useful for both effects in this deck. And I think that's pretty much everything, honestly. Yeah, Volcanic Rocket just helps speed up the deck, plus it gets this back in your hand, which is always good. If you feel like your opponent's going to trish you soon, or is going to get like a Rhapsody and Berserk or something, you're going to want this in your hand. So, yeah. Okay, and that is it for my explanation of this deck. So, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a nice day.